Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Paper Review, where I go over any pay-per-view, or in this case, not pay-per-view, not pay-per-view as I've been calling it, because it is classified as a special event. But I am going over Saturday night's main event 41. It just went down, just wrapped up not too long ago. So I'm going to be going over everything that happened on the show. It was a total of four matches. So I'm going to be going over everything. Um, Honestly, this is probably going to be one of those post shows again that's not going to be that long because it was four matches, especially. But usually I get through these pretty quickly, and I think that I'm talking for like 30 something minutes, and I only talked for like 15 or 20. Um, so yeah, usually when I do these by myself, if you've been listening for a while, that these go by pretty quickly, which not the worst thing for someone who um doesn't like working that often late at night. It's only like 9:30 at the moment, but I'm very lazy, so but yeah, I'm going to be going over Saturday night's main event. I am your host, Josh, as always. I'm going to be breaking down everything that happened. Before we get into that, though, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. If you're listening over on Spotify, make sure you guys hit the follow button over there. I believe it's a follow button. I keep forgetting. And leave a comment down below over there as well. I always love hearing you guys' opinions. You guys are just as big of a part of the show as I am, as Ruiz, and as Stu is as well. So make sure you guys leave your thoughts and comments wherever you're listening to this, whether it be YouTube or Spotify. There's also a plethora of different options as well for you to leave your thoughts. One of them being the Kayfabe Central Discord server that is linked down below. We have a non-wrestling channel as well, so if you want a place to chat about non-wrestling related things, then go ahead and do that. And yeah, obviously we have the main wrestling chat. So try to get as many people in there as I can, and just build a little bit of a community there in the Discord server. So if that interests you, in building a little bit of a community there to talk amongst other people and other wrestling fans, then go ahead and join up the server. It's not the most live at the moment. Like, there's not a lot going on in the server, but I'm sure as we get more people, the more active it'll get. So, if that is something that interests you, go ahead and check out the Discord server. Also check out the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page if you are able to. That would be greatly appreciated. It is $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. I post all my weekly predictions over there for the weekly shows, I should say. I haven't been consistent on there recently, but I have some posts planned for the Ko-Fi page. So if that is something that interests you, then go ahead and check that out. Anytime I drop an interview, the Ko-Fi page gets it first. So again, if that interests you, go ahead and check out the Ko-Fi page and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go over Saturday night's main event. Um, Four match card and a card that I don't. This was a weird show. It felt very weird. Um, there were some good aspects to this, and there were some aspects where I was like, that I don't really care for it. We kicked off the night with the Undisputed WWE Championship match, which is actually kind of funny because I just wrote these in like on the coverage page post. I just wrote these in whatever order because I did them days before, like when I did my written predictions. And I had Cody versus Drew written down first, so that made my life a lot easier, I should say. But Cody Rhodes defeated Drew McIntyre to retain the title. Obviously, they added the stipulation last night on SmackDown that if Cody Rhodes is disqualified, he will lose the WWE Championship. So a lot of this match was just Drew McIntyre trying to get Cody Rhodes disqualified. I'm not a huge fan of matches like this. They just seem very bland and boring to me. Because that's all Drew really did for the entirety of the match. The way the match ended, though, we had a ref bump spot. The referee took a hit. We also had a point in the match where the referee got in the way of Cody Rhodes and then he sold a knee injury. I don't know if that was something that was planned or if the referee missed his cue. as to when he was supposed to take the bump, and he thought it was going to be there. Um, so I'm not too sure what happened there. It seemed very awkward and weird. And that's really how I explain this entire match. It's just awkward and weird. But the way the match ended, Drew McIntyre went for the title, but Cody Rhodes grabbed it from him and hit a DDT onto the title, followed by a crossroads to retain the title. Which is very interesting because you would think that's more of a heel move, but I guess the story here that was that Cody Rhodes was really angry and he was pissed off with Drew McIntyre. And he wanted to hurt Drew McIntyre. Um, all this finish tells me is that we're gonna get the same thing of Drew saying that he got screwed again, and this feud is just gonna continue. Um, I have no doubt that it's going to continue with a finish like this. I can see them doing another title match, like at the next Saturday night's main event in December. Maybe it's even as soon as War Games, Survivor Series. Or they could drag this all the way out to the Rumble, um, which they definitely could do that. Um, I don't think at any of those points, though, Drew McIntyre is going to win this. Cody Rhodes is going to win that, I should say. Um, I'm tired, guys. All right. Um, Cody Rhodes is definitely going to walk into WrestleMania as WWE champion. I don't think anybody really has a doubt about that. Uh, because we've talked about it on the podcast before. Cody Rhodes is the golden boy. I think WWE feels weird when they don't have the title on Cody Rhodes, even though I think he's better in that chase when he's chasing the title. Um, because his reigns just haven't been good. The first one didn't feel all that great. It felt pretty bland. A couple good defenses there, but nothing much. And then the second reign has just not felt good. It's honestly felt longer than it actually has been. I don't know, Cena holding the title just like a fever dream to me because it just went by so quick. Um, and like this whole year has gone by quick. Um, but yeah, Cody Rhodes retains. I can see them continuing that feud. Um, I don't know who Cody Rhodes' WrestleMania opponent is going to end up being. I brought up the idea that it could be CM Punk, but we find out later in the night that it is not going to be CM Punk. Um, and I'm going to talk about that and then tie that back into this match here. But yeah, this wasn't the greatest match. Definitely wasn't their best outing together. So hopefully with them continuing this feud, because that's definitely what they're gonna do, that they can put on a better showing than this and just have a no disqualification stipulation between these two. And I think that's where it's headed. Um, we then went into a singles match for the WWE Women's Championship. Jade Cargill defeated Tiffany Stratton to win the Women's Championship. I completely expected this. Myself, Rue, and Stu on the Predictions podcast all expected this as well. Um, Especially with the fact that before this match, they were really selling the fact that Tiffany Stratton was hurt. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be the reasoning behind why Tiffany Stratton lost because she wasn't 100%. And I guess in a way it protects Tiffany Stratton. Um, I haven't been a fan of the way Tiffany Stratton's reign has been booked this past year. Over the past 11 months, it's just been, like I said on the predictions podcast, feuding with three people 50 times. It hasn't been entertaining. That's no fault of her. It's on the booking, it's on creative that made this championship reign just not good. Um, and that's a shame because Tiffany Stratton has gotten better in a lot of different aspects. And she's a tremendous talent, but it's just they did not book her reign correctly and it just was not good. So I was ready for a change on the SmackDown division with somebody else holding that title. So at least we have that with Jade Cargill. I don't have much hope for Jade Cargill holding that women's championship though. Um, she's I don't know. I haven't fully gotten behind Jade Cargill yet. I don't think that she's definitely not one of the best in the ring. And like I will say that, and I don't know. I think she's just gonna this feud is gonna continue for sure because like again, they're gonna use the story that Tiffany wasn't 100%. They're gonna continue this, do a rematch sometime down the well, what am I trying to say? Down the road, down the line, whatever it may be, whether it be at Survivor Series or the next Saturday night's main event. Um, I think Jade Cargill is eventually gonna feud with Nia Jax as well. Um, and it's just gonna be a repeat of that. So yeah, I'm not too excited about anything here. This whole women's championship division on SmackDown has just been a complete bore to me. And it hasn't been good, but hopefully with a new champion that maybe, just maybe, it can be a little bit more interesting. I will say I am glad Jade Cargill is holding this as a heel rather than a babyface. She just did not work as a babyface. This was mainly just like a squash match again because of the injury of Tiffany Stratton, the kayfabe injury that is. So yeah, there wasn't anything special about this match. I didn't take anything away from this. It was just a match. And honestly, a match that can happen on Friday Night SmackDown. Um, yeah, that it seemed like a Friday Night SmackDown title match where the title would just change hands. Um, so not a huge fan of that. We then went into the triple threat match for the men's Intercontinental Championship. Probably, in my estimation, the match of the night. I enjoyed this a lot. It was entertaining. Dominik Mysterio defeated Penta and Rusev to retain the title. He weaseled his way out of this one. Um, how this went down was towards the end of the match, Rusev had Penta in the accolade. The bell then rang, but Penta didn't tap. And it happened to be Dominik Mysterio rang the bell to throw Rusev off because he heard the bell. He thought Penta tapped. And so he was celebrating. Um, Dom had the hammer. He tried to take advantage. He got beat up a little bit. Penta then grabbed the hammer, went to swing it at Dom, but Penta hit Rusev instead. Um, and then Dom pinned Penta to retain the title. So yeah, that was that. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. Um, Dominik Mysterio continues to prove that he will find any way possible to still win a match despite the odds. And I honestly love it, man. Dominik Mysterio is doing some of the best work. And he's just doing a great job. And I love every bit of this. And I think he's gonna hold that IC title for quite some time. I think honestly, up until Finn Balor, man, I'm stuttering my words. Like my goodness, um, losing my train of thought, guys. I'm going insane. But Dominik Mysterio retains, and I think it's going to be Finn Balor that takes that title off of him at some point, because those seeds are being planted. It seems, and like there's no report on this, no official report, but it does seem with them kind of playing into the Roxanne Perez and Dominik Mysterio thing again that we may be on the horizon of a Liv Morgan return soon. So that can happen. That can, plant the whole seeds of the Judgment Day split. So yeah, and we also saw on Raw that they gave JD McDonough a lot more, time to shine. They really made him look good on Monday Night Raw. So I enjoyed that. So maybe he could be setting up for a singles run on the main roster. Um, which, he absolutely deserves. JD McDonough, he's a former NXT champion. He's incredibly talented. He's honestly one of the most underrated wrestlers on the roster entirely. So I would love to see him get a singles opportunity. But yeah, Dominik Mysterio retains. Penta and Rusev are probably going to want revenge. I don't know if they're going to continue this with these three, or who else there is to challenge Dom for the IC title. Maybe they go with AJ Styles again. I don't know if I'd want to see that again though. I don't like repeat things just because you can't find anything else. Like you have a lot of people on the roster, you can find something new for Dom. rather than just repeating the same old things. So yeah, that was that fun match. We then had a thing where John Cena had announced there will be a 16-man tournament to determine who will face him on December 13th at Saturday night's main event for his last match. He wants someone to have the opportunity he did when he first debuted. Um, I think this can be pretty cool. They had mentioned that it's going to be talent from Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and maybe even potentially people that don't even work in the WWE. So, um, you know, you never know who could show up, kind of thing. So, I think that's pretty cool. Maybe we get a spot where, Chris Jericho returns potentially. Maybe an Edge return. I know there's going to be a lot of talks about that. That's a possibility. Um, I would assume like if a legend comes back, they'd lose in like the first or maybe even second round. I can see this being a young up and coming guy. Unless they just want to go for the nostalgic thing, but I think a young up and coming guy, especially with the word Cena used for this little vignette, would be perfect for Cena's final match. I've been behind the idea that it's going to be Gunther, and I'd be okay with it being Gunther. Um, I've also been one to say that Gunther could potentially be the one to challenge Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed WWE Championship. Um, but I don't know how likely that is to happen. Um, I don't know where they're gonna place Gunther. I don't know if I'd want to see him placed back in the World Heavyweight title scene. Um, and that being because the main event was for the vacated World Heavyweight Championship, where CM Punk defeated Jey Uso to win the World Heavyweight title. This was the best outcome. I still think that they should have just put the title on Braun Breaker to begin with. Um, I know like a lot of people, and maybe they even thought that they wanted it to be a big moment and it wouldn't have felt as good, but I didn't look at it that way. I think that Braun Breaker winning it would have been a lot better and would have progressed the story a lot more. And then he could run with that until like WrestleMania or whatever it may be. Um, I can see CM Punk holding this until potentially the Royal Rumble, and he drops it to Braun Breaker, or maybe even before that, and like in December or something, if Braun Breaker doesn't end up being the one to face John Cena. Um, they also did mention that Cena won't be competing until his final match. So all of his appearances, he won't be competing. Um, yeah, that's interesting. Because there's a lot of other matches that I wanted to see. Like we wanted to see John Cena versus Dominik Mysterio, John Cena for versus Obafemi, Braun Breaker, and they just didn't want to do any of those matches. I was looking forward to the potential of him being inside of War Games, because he's never been in War Games before. But it makes sense. Like, why would you have John Cena in War Games and risk the final match being a thing? So I understand that why he wouldn't be in there. So I just thought it would have been cool to see him in War Games. Um, but yeah, Punk is the champion. Um, I'm glad they went with Punk over Jey Uso. I was very happy when this happened. There was a few moments where I thought Jey Uso was gonna win. I had leaned a little bit more towards Jey because I didn't think that they would actually be logical, I guess you could say, and go with CM Punk, but they did. So kudos to them for doing that because I think in this scenario it was the best option. Still think Braun Breaker would have been the best first option to go with. But I can kind of see where their thinking is at with Braun Breaker right now. So um yeah, like I said, I could see Breaker taking that title off of Punk at like Royal Rumble or something. Um if Gunther ends up being the final opponent for Cena, that leaves a big question mark in the air. If Punk loses the title before WrestleMania, then what do we do? Because Gunther and Punk are my two options for um to face Cody at WrestleMania. But if Punk does hold that title all the way up until WrestleMania, then obviously that's not going to happen. They're not going to do the, whole title for title thing with the two-night WrestleMania. So yeah, they're just not going to do that. Um, so it could end up being Gunther. It could, but then there's also the potential of Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. And if that happens, and if Punk's still the world champion, then that's going to be a very interesting thing. Because then who does Cody face? Um, like everyone's gonna say like, oh, it could be Randy. I don't know if they are gonna do the Randy match at WrestleMania. I really don't. If Drew and Cody does prolong all the way till the Royal Rumble, then maybe they'll do that at Mania. And everyone will love to see Cody versus Randy at WrestleMania. There's nothing wrong with that. I just I don't know if that's the route that they're gonna go. Um, but that was Saturday night's main event 41. Um, Not the greatest show, but it could have been a lot worse. I did appreciate that there wasn't as many ads. The last Saturday night's main event, there was ads even throughout the matches. Not the case for this one. I do know that Triple H was not backstage for Saturday night's main event tonight, so maybe that played a part in it. Um, but yeah, overall, it was a fine show. Um, there wasn't anything too crazy. Like a lot of things that happened on this show was expected, like Cody Rhodes retaining. Nobody realistically thought Drew was gonna win. Cargill beating Stratton. A lot of people had Jade Cargill winning. That didn't come to a surprise to anybody. Dom retaining. Wasn't a very popular pick actually from like things that I've heard. Some people picked Penta, some people picked Rusev. Um, I can't remember if Rue picked Dom on the podcast and who Stu picked. Um, but yeah, I thought it was fairly like obvious that Dom was going to retain here. Um, and then the Punk and Jey Uso one was really the toss up for me here. But I'm glad they went with CM Punk. But I also want to know what you guys think about Saturday night's main event. And like I mentioned at the start, there's a plethora of different ways that you could let me know, whether it be YouTube comments, Spotify comments, the Kayfabe Central website, the Kayfabe Central Discord server, the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page is $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. But yeah, make sure you guys check all those links out. Check out my TikTok as well. I do live watch alongs for the weekly shows and some of the pay-per-views. I say some because I didn't do a live for Saturday night's main event tonight. I just wasn't completely feeling it, to be honest with you. I've been really drowsy the past couple of days, so yeah, I didn't end up going live, but I will go live on Monday for Monday Night Raw, because now I'm feeling like now I'm kicking myself a little bit, like okay, maybe I should have gone live for at least SmackDown, and then I could have taken Saturday night's main event off. So I will be live on Monday for Monday Night Raw. I also do previews for the weekly shows over on my TikTok, so make sure you guys go check all that out. Drop me a follow. Also, if you're new to this podcast, I have podcast partners as well, where I do the podcast. We did the headlines of the week earlier today. I did that alongside Rue on Wrestling. And usually Stu World Order joins us as well for some of the podcasts as well. So make sure you guys go check all that other stuff out as well if you're new to the channel. And yeah, with that being said, I am going to wrap it up here tonight. I will be back on Monday for the Monday Night Raw post show. I do plan on doing that. I didn't do it last week, so I apologize for that, but I do plan on doing a post show for Monday Night Raw this coming Monday. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And yeah, I will be wrapping it up here. So yeah, until the next one, guys, take it easy and have a fantastic night.